Hi, everybody. Welcome to this launch event for our new collaboration with the outstanding Stacy Garcia. I'm Vic Paul. I'm CEO of Koroseal and Metro Wallcoverings in Canada. And welcome to everybody. Good afternoon to those of you in the central and eastern part of the country, and everybody on the as some describe it, the left coast of the country. Welcome to all of you out in the western parts of this great continent. As we progress out of the darkness of COVID that cast a pallor over the world this last year, I'm really excited to celebrate with you an important milestone for our company that has shed a bright light on the future, not only for our company, but I think for our industry. 3 years ago, our company embarked on a evolution to be a market-driven design company that is helping all of you to shape the beauty of the world. The first step of that transition was the installation of world-class manufacturing equipment in our Louisville manufacturing facility. The second step was to expand our product portfolio to take advantage of these new printers to produce beautifully designed product. To do that, we needed to grow our own design team and to help them, to give them the tools with which then to expand our product offering with these new capabilities. Secondly, we wanted to collaborate with one of the top designers in the country to help expand our product portfolio and lead the collaboration to what in developing outstanding product for you to work with. We started this conversation a couple of years ago with Stacy Garcia. COVID kind of put a little bit of a damper on our timing as to what we wanted to do. But in the end, the partnership with her has led to the development of some outstanding product. One of them, which you see as on the screen in front of you, as we come off our manufacturing equipment. So, without any further ado, I'll turn this over to Sally Curtis, our Vice President of Design, to lead the discussion on how our collaboration with Stacy developed and evolved to lead to this great product offering that you're going to be seeing later today and in the days ahead. Sally?
Thanks, Vic, and welcome everyone to the launch of the new Stacy Garcia New York collection. I am Sally Curtis, Vice President of Design and Development for Koroseal. I'd like to take just a minute to talk about the collaboration of Koroseal and Stacy Garcia New York, her new brand. About a year and a half ago, Stacy was looking for a partner for a new brand she wanted to bring to the market. Koroseal has had experience working with outside designers for over 20 years. She and I began to talk, and I was intrigued by what Stacy had in mind. Any new brand has to have vision, commitment, but most of all, purpose. I saw all those things in the brand that Stacy was talking about. A partner in this endeavor has to understand that vision, be committed to making it work, and each partner needs to challenge the other to make it the best that it can possibly be. We were willing to make that commitment to Stacy and she to us. As the process began to unfold with Stacy and her team, at a time when the world was locked down and things were surely going to change, I did not see Stacy waver from her vision one bit. We pushed through together and made it come to life because the vision was authentic and we all felt it would stand the test of time. Stacy's not just a good designer. I watched her work. She is a great designer because she really truly designs from her soul. She knows when to push the boundaries of a design and when to let a simple classic line speak. Stacy, it has been an absolute pleasure working with you on the collection, and I know you're going to bring amazing insight and design to the collection in the future. There's no better person to introduce you to the Stacy Garcia New York collection than Stacy herself. So Stacy, congratulations, and take it away.
Sally, thank you so much for those beautiful words. I almost need to take a moment because I'm a little verklempt over here on the East Coast. So it means a lot. I want to take a moment in gratitude also, not just for your words, but I want to take a moment in gratitude to the whole team at Koroseal for giving me this opportunity to bring these designs forward, and really in gratitude for all of you who logged on with me today in celebration, in curiosity, to learn something new, hopefully to be inspired. And ultimately, I just want to take a moment to say thank you for showing up today. It means so much to me. It means so much to the team at Koroseal. And as Sally said, it's certainly been an adventure. So I know this year has been crazy, year and 9 months already, my gosh. So certainly not normal conditions to put a new brand together, put a new collection together, or put a new partnership together. But this team has really been fantastic to work with, and I'm so excited to dive in now and show you my collection. Before we do that, I want to take a moment. I know I was sort of pitching this team. I pushed the boundaries not only with design, I think, but also with marketing ideas. And the Koroseal team has taken all of my crazy cuckoo ideas and said, okay, fine. Listen, I like a good VIP party. I can't wait until this whole COVID situation is behind us and we're comfortable really gathering together, because at that point, you all know I love a good event. So I can't wait to see you all in person at some point. But until then, I want to just, I brought my sparkling water in my crystal champagne glass. I know my beautiful background is taking it away, but l'chaim, cheers, salud, however you say it. Here's to you for showing up. Here's to the Koroseal team. And cheers to hopefully what will be inspiring product for your newest collection. So if you're together celebrating this launch with me, if you're one of the Koroseal reps that's going to be getting this into the hands of your clients, or if you're a client who came to join and celebrate, I know it's midday, some of you it's mid-morning, but hey, a mimosa is never bad. So cheers for that. Okay, so our new collection, I want to talk a little bit about the Stacy Garcia New York brand and how it's different from some of the other brands that we have out in the marketplace currently. So hopefully many of you know and love some of our other brands, as I have several out, but this is really more about a personal narrative. So some of the other collections that we run, they're known for color and they're known for pattern and they're known for really trend forecasting. And trend forecasting is what I've built my career on. But this grouping, this whole idea of Stacy Garcia New York was sort of looking and saying, what does the market need right now? And I really believe that the market needs more sort of authentic stories, more personal product, more things that have a sense of soul and not just sort of are pretty to be prettier for the trend sake. And so while of course we did look toward what we feel the market needs, there were things here that I brought to the table and said, you know, we're going to do this if you agree, because I think it's beautiful and here's the story and here's the inspiration. And so hopefully you will agree with me. So while it's called Stacy Garcia New York, because that is my hometown, little story, I made my way to New York via Guadalajara. For those of you who don't know, I was born to Eastern European hippies, and they followed the dead around on a motorcycle before they got married and had me. And so then they moved to Mexico because I guess they decided they had better figure out how to make a living one day. And so that's where I was born, but quickly made my way to New York when I was 3 and sort of grew up as a Queens kid, which is one of the 5 boroughs of New York City. And so that very much shaped my childhood. It shaped the way I saw the world. It shaped the inspiration. New York City is a melting pot of ideas. And what I love about the New York scene is I almost feel like if you're a city kid, you could come from anywhere and you can make it. You can take these ideas anywhere and they translate because they really are a melting pot. And so you'll see some of this, even though it's inspired by Manhattan, I really believe that these products are universal, that really they can sell all over the world. And hopefully in some of the stories, you'll find connection and you'll find inspiration for your projects wherever they are. So our first pattern is called Esplanade, and Esplanade is inspired by a part of the Brooklyn Botanical Gardens where all of the cherry blossom trees are planted. And again, so you're looking at a theme that's universal, and that's nature. You know, what I love when bringing this brand to Koroseal, and I was describing New York, and they said, well, you know, we don't want to just do this urban inspired thing because we sell all over the world. And I said, don't you worry, New York City is not just an urban landscape. There is nature that happens there. There's people, there's fashion, there's all kinds of inspiration. And again, that inspiration is universal between everybody. And so the cherry blossom trees are in a part of the Brooklyn Botanical Gardens, and that part is called the Esplanade. And I played off of the idea of petals and really simplifying the shape and blowing up the scale and seeing the kind of pattern that it could create. And so here you see the finished product. One of the fun things about developing out wall coverings with this team is we really had fun, not only with the patterns and the prints and the colors and the technique, but also with the embosses. And so you'll see on the left-hand side, and hopefully you can see it on your screen. And if you're not seeing it well, I encourage you to order samples of anything that catches your eye. But you'll see the beautiful texture that we chose for this. So this is like a faux grass cloth. And the look to me feels really clean, really crisp, almost like a block print on top of it. This could go anywhere from tropical to graphic. It's really how you see it. And the color is fantastic. And so you can see how we really had fun playing with this pattern in beautiful neutrals, in warmer neutrals, in some of the grays that have been so popular, which to me, those can feel like a background no matter where you are. And what I love about this is it almost could read textural, even though it's a very large scale, and even though the inspiration was a petal, it is such a highly graphic design that this could work as a great backdrop too, to put artwork on top of. It's not going to fight with your project. The palette, as you'll notice, I think spans different kinds of verticals too. So I see this being something that could be used in a senior living facility, could be used in hospitality, could be used even in a multifamily project going down your hallways. Really fun, really dynamic, and the color palette, I love it. You'll notice some of the cactus colors. You'll see some of our greens as we get into some of the other patterns, but really beautiful product. And some of what I got excited about, and I've been talking to lots of clients around the country and in lots of different products that we design for, it's been a bit of a design desert out there. So again, if you're agreeing with me, put it in the chat, give us some thumbs up, nod your heads if you agree that it's just, look, we've been working from home. We've been doing the best we can. We've been stuck on Pinterest and very limited in where the inspiration is coming from. And especially in product, we've seen so many manufacturers just put on pause new product development. So to be able to bring this collection to you now felt like the right time. And so, again, beautiful, happy colors, optimistic colors, and colors that are really going to bring joy to the spaces that you are designing. Okay, so our next pattern is called Highrise. And this is where we get into the architecture, whether you're in New York City, whether you're in LA, whether you're in Chicago, whether you're international in Toronto, there are cities everywhere, small or large, and architecture is part of that story and part of that landscape. And so this pattern you'll see was inspired almost by the idea of drone imagery. So flying a little drone over the city and what those grids look like, how those buildings lay out, and doing a very graphic design off of that. So almost like this interlocked city grid, very architectural pattern. But what we did was we shrunk it down and we modeled it and we played with the scale. And it's fun, as Sally said, when we're actually developing the product, it's not always what you think it's going to be. So this original artwork had multiple colors and multiple layers and was significantly larger. And when we got into the studio and when I got into the lab with the Koroseal team, we unlayered things, we played, we shrunk it down, we added texture, and their team just hits the screen prints and it's like magic happens. And you see it in real life. And we said, wow, this is such a great wall covering. And here's the color palette, because it really is something, again, that can cross different verticals. We kept this fairly neutral because I really wanted this to function more like a texture, but with a little something extra. And the emboss we used is going to have a complement, but I want to just talk about the color a little bit. Again, look at the jade green, look at the blue kyanite. These are colors that we're seeing trending. The paint companies, Ben Moore, Sherwin-Williams, both introduced their colors of the year as green this year. And you'll notice the neutrals too. Again, that warming of the neutral, and then that upper layer has a little twist. So like on the silt, you get a little shot of that like golden copper. And on the sandstone, you get that warm, cool effect that really helps you pull your project together with all your other materials. So you'll see on the next slide how this pattern works so beautifully with its sister called Cityscape. And Cityscape we're going to get to in a minute, but you'll notice on the left-hand side how we pulled the base of Cityscape, this beautiful model texture, and then ran the high-rise coordinate on top of it. And there it is shown in a corporate setting and looks just beautiful. So the inspiration behind Cityscape is that of a brownstone plaster. So again, taking it from the city I love, from my city of inspiration, but the truth is I've traveled around the world and these are textures that you see everywhere from Morocco to Paris to Manhattan to London. Any place that has patina within their buildings are showing plaster work. And what I wanted to capture was sort of that texture that happens over the years when the plaster starts to peel and it gets repainted. And so rather than a really soft plaster, I wanted to give a little oomph with this texture. And so we created 2 layers for the underneath. The color is really soft, it's really rubbed. It just looks beautiful, almost powdery, almost chalk-like, kind of has a matte finish to it. And then we worked with Koroseal to pick the perfect stone-like emboss that just gives depth to it. And what we're seeing with these kind of textures, these are huge right now. I saw these when I was in Paris a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago now, at Maison Objet. But this idea of bringing soul to a space with subtle texture, adding a sense of history, even if it's a new space, through textures like this, really give it a sense of surprise, a sense of wonder, a sense of like, I have arrived. And so I love this look, and you'll see all, again, the beautiful neutrals that we used all day long, the alabaster, the quartzite, the travertine, gorgeous color palette here. And then we're also seeing clays trending, and we put in some very rich colors too, the slate and steel and soapstone. So again, I encourage you, because the screen doesn't do it justice and everybody's screen kind of reads a little differently. If there are things here that are catching your eye and floating your boat, jot them down, order samples, and tell your reps about it, because I would love for you to be inspired by these. Okay, Minetta is our next design. And this is actually what's behind me right now. So if you were wondering what's behind me, this one is called Minetta. Minetta is inspired by like the hustle and bustle of any kind of urban environment, right? People moving around, things happening. This is obviously pre-COVID. We know it's going to get back there again. So just, you know, all that energy that you feel when you're around other people. And then also the idea of this movement of the architecture, right? These skeletal structures, the architectural structures that you would see. But what I love about this design is I believe that the viewer is going to bring to it what they see. So that was my inspiration. But the truth is, every time I look at this, it's almost like a Rorschach. Sometimes I see leaves. Sometimes I see a skeletal structure. Sometimes I see a modern moire. But every time I see something that's graphic and bold, but once you repeat it out on a wall, as you can see in the flood-in, it really just has a beautiful essence to it. It's not overwhelming. It just sort of dances down the wall. It elongates the ceiling height when you do a vertical stripe. And I think this just feels very elegant and very modern. And the emboss on this, again, is slightly different than Esplanade, but also reads like it's a grass cloth. So gives a beautiful texture to it, very elevated, I think a very luxe look. And you'll see the palette here again, beautiful neutrals. We went greens and we went mid-tones. So the mushroom colors of the porcini and the cement, and then the pewters, the navies. Some of my favorites here are those that are unexpected. So urban forest is one of my favorites. Bronze is one of my favorites. I think you should just look at how different they look in the lights, the mediums, and the darks, because they really can work in so many different types of environments. Market Street. So this one's a little more personal to me too. We know linens and textile kind of looks have been big always, right? And they've been trending and they're not going away. So two things about this one. One is I'm actually a textile designer, a surface pattern designer by training. I got my start in this market working at a textile company and ultimately starting my own business called Libatex. And from that, I've designed all kinds of textiles for upholstery and drapery. And we actually took one of those fabrics, one of our best-selling textiles, and we scanned it in to create this pattern. But the personal side of the story, which I've shared with some of you, but not all of you, is that actually my grandfather was an immigrant from Poland, and he moved to New York when he first came to this country. And his job was actually as a cutter in the garment district. And so 7th Avenue in Manhattan is Fashion Avenue, and it's where all of the fashion design used to happen. It still does in a limited way before it all went overseas. But at the time, you had everything that you were sourcing vertically there. So the idea of producing textiles and then creating an inspiration behind it was really personal to me. But what I love about Market Street, as I said, is we worked from an actual textile from one of my collections. And that textile is done as a space dye. And what that means is that the yarns have different colors in them. So when they're woven, you have lights and mediums and darks all working together in this space dyed effect. And you can see in the detail shot here how we really tried to capture through Koroseal's printing technology, first of all, the detail of this really fine woven product that they were able to capture, and then this multicolor effect within that. Add to that the emboss that went on top. This all happens in one machine. I know Vic showed you earlier, but the end result of this to me looks like a fine worsted wool or a beautiful high-end linen. When this is on your walls, this is going to look like you spent $1 million upholstering your walls in a fine fabric. The look is going to be nothing less than luxe. It's gorgeous. And the color palette we went with, what I describe as very handsome. So I really wanted to keep the elegance of this textile, the handsomeness of this quality, and reflect that in the color palette that we chose to really try to make it look authentic. I'm telling you, if you have not seen a linen like this one, you have not seen a textile like this one, order all the colors. These are going to work in every project you can imagine. They are just, they're, if I do say so myself. Okay. And this is our finale for this grouping. And this one is called Brushwick. And I know for those who have visited New York, this is not a mistake. It is a play on words. There's an area of Brooklyn called Bushwick. And Bushwick is known for its up and coming art scene. So it just has a vibrant, bubbling community of artists and makers and creators. I have friends there that do mosaic art and that do, street art and that are doing graffiti art. All kinds of things are happening in this neighborhood in New York. And so we played off of the artwork that you would find on the walls of some of these murals. And you'll see on the next slide, the idea of Brushwick, this brush pattern from this Bushwick area. But again, it's a universal concept. It's the idea of bringing art onto the walls. It's the idea of trying to capture some of the grittiness in this texture, the way the lines are painted, the way the emboss hits the design, and really how dynamic it is. It's I would say a medium to large scale design. So while we could have done this as a literal mural because Koroseal has great printing technology with their digital, we decided to leave that to the digital stuff that you all love and do so well. And so we wanted to come up with a tone on tone pattern. So we sort of kept these all very monochromatic so that they would be livable, so that we could take this idea, but really create something that, again, could go down corridors and not feel overwhelming, just feel interesting. So imagine these once you put your sconces up. Imagine these in a really hip ballroom. Imagine these as a headboard wall. And, I think that this really becomes a layer, whether it's a WeWork space, a corporate office, a hospitality setting. These are the kind of things that I believe we captured in a way that's truly usable, yet inspirational. But I'm going to hand it over to John Butcher, who heads up marketing, and he's going to talk to you a little bit about what's coming next, because I promise you, we are looking forward to developing lots more product with the Koroseal team. There's going to be more to come next year and years to come. So we are just getting started. And again, my goal and my hope for this presentation was, number one, to inspire you to be able to show off the collection one-on-one like this firsthand. I wish we could do it in person, but because of the way it is, I think we all did a great job coming together and really being able to celebrate something that I know we're so excited about. We were so excited to create it for you, and I can't wait for you to see it. So I, again, appreciate you celebrating with us. So John, it's all you.
Thank you, Stacy. And greetings to everyone out there. My name is John Butcher. I'm Vice President of Marketing for Koroseal. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy days to learn more about this amazing partnership with Stacy Garcia in New York and see some of these wonderful, inspiring new designs that you can use for your projects. We're just so excited. So thanks for joining us. A few key points I wanted to bring up as we kind of wrap up today's session. Number one, free samples are available now at koroseal.com/SGNY. So memo samples are ready for your orders. As you saw from Stacy's presentation, some of these designs are a little bit larger scale. So if you do need to order a larger sample, like a 1-yard piece that you can get and pin up on your wall, feel free to do that. We're happy to accommodate you for that. If you take a look right now in the chat, you are available and able to request a free SGNY sample packet with some more information about the collection, some beautiful products. And as you're doing that, just a couple things to mention. Also reach out to your Koroseal or Metro sales representative if you want to schedule an SGNY presentation. We have the largest, most experienced sales force in the industry. And it's also worth noting, we're the only vertically integrated wall covering company in North America. So we're both the manufacturer and the distributor. And that's an important point to note. What that means to you as the customer is a better customer experience. Not only can we deliver on the aesthetics, but we can work with you closely and have better control on your budgets, your pricing, your lead times, technical support. We want to make sure that project from start to finish, we work with you every step of the way. Okay? As far as our social platforms, please follow us on our social accounts at Koroseal, at Stacy Garcia Trade, and also hashtag SGNY for Koroseal for exciting updates and news on our collaboration with Stacy. All of you attending today are automatically entered in to win some fabulous prizes just by attending this session. We have 3 great prizes. The first is a Taste of New York gift basket. We also have some Shop Stacy Garcia gift cards, as well as some beautiful SGNY throw blankets that you see on the right. So we're actually giving away 3 of each of these prizes, so there'll be a total of 9 winners. And those drawing winners will be announced and contacted next week. So good luck to all of you out there, and you'll love these prizes as we send these out to you. All right, I just want to say thank you for your time. Thank you, Stacy and Vic and Sally. Would like to open it up now for Stacy to answer some questions from the chat and the Q&A session. I've seen the chat lighting up. Just a couple of quick comments, Stacy, I'll love to hear. When they were asking about Minetta, they love the movement in that pattern. We always view that one as almost like a Rorschach test. What do you see in it? We have one comment that says they see little kayak paddles in Minetta. So I thought that was an interesting one.
That's good.
Okay, I'll read off some questions that we've got. The first one, Stacy, from the chat is, what trends are you seeing right now that will influence some of your future designs?
Well, that's a good question. Seeing a couple macro trends. I mean, one that hasn't gone away is the idea of biophilic design. I mean, I think we've all been sort of cooped up indoors, and so that real need to be surrounded by things that are inspired by nature, if not nature itself, is really influencing design right now. And I think that's one of the reasons that we were so drawn to some of these patterns, is because they do have that kind of organic feel to them, right? That organic movement. A little softer edge, I think, is where people are going. It's kind of adding to our comfort level. So that's definitely one of the things we're seeing. And in terms of color, I'm seeing color come back. Not hyper saturated, but definitely more of a color palette. We've been very neutral across many verticals for a while, and neutrals will never go away. They will evolve. However, I am seeing more of a need for color, for really, you know, some juicy colors. And we're sort of putting a chalkiness to some of ours just to make them a little more livable. Good question.
Okay, great. That was a great question. Another one, just a comment, love hearing the history and story of the inspiration. Stacy, you're a great storyteller, but they also say, how did you create the Esplanade pattern? Did you draw it out first, or what was the process as you developed that?
I know, you know, we try to do a hybrid of hand sketching, sometimes photography, and then ultimately we end up always leaning into the CAD systems to manipulate these. So the same kind of thing, you know, sort of starting with photography, going into a hand sketch. The idea of really just simplifying, you know, what we wanted to do was capture the line work of it and then really make it more of a graphic pattern. So sort of really take it and do a stylized version so that it wasn't very literal. And what I love about the Esplanade is the way that the petals overlap almost create like a crosshatch. So it almost in certain areas looks like a weave effect. And I just think it's a really modern interpretation, not too sweet, not too feminine, you know, nature inspired. It could be leaves, it could be petals, but ultimately, you know, you'll all know where the inspiration came from.
Someone's asking about when will new designs be available? Are you working on more new products for Koroseal after this initial launch?
Oh, that's a good question. And the answer is yes, we are. We're very excited about that. So we have lots of new updates that we're working on. So I think we'll have 3 new updates for next year, and that'll include a multitude of patterns and then just ongoing. So, you know, we look for partners long term, you know, we sort of look to get married, and that's what our intention is with this relationship, is to develop inspirational product for all of you over the long haul.
Great. Next question. Are these the samples available on Material Bank? And I'll touch base on that one, Stacy. They will be available on Material Bank as of next week, and they're currently on Koroseal's site. So the answer to that would be yes.
And Metro, of course.
Of course. And then a last question for Stacy. What is your personal favorite of all the new patterns?
Oh my gosh, guys, that's like asking me to pick a favorite child. So, you know, I know I didn't say, but I have 4 children and 2 dogs. And, you know, if I had to pick my favorite, it's probably the dogs at this point, because they're happy to see me. But yeah, asking for a favorite pattern, you know, I love them all. I think they're all great for different reasons. And I think that there's a reason to use all of them. So it's really going to depend on the space. It's going to depend on, you know, if you want the space to feel, you know, more energetic, you're going to use certain colors or certain patterns. If you want the space to feel more subdued, you're going to choose something else. But I'm really proud of how this collection came out. And again, I think the universe works in interesting ways, and the timing of this was really good. I mean, to have launched this, you know, during COVID was not the right time, and it allowed us really the time and space we needed to come up with product that we felt was right for the market today. So I'm really, really happy with where we ended up.